American automakers farmed out station wagon assembly to suppliers until the mid-1960s, but in 1936, Ford opened its own wagon plant in Iron Mountain, Michigan. That factory in the state's Upper Peninsula used raw material from its vast timber operations near Lake Superior, according to David Traver Adolphus's article, The American Woody, in the September 2005 issue of Hemming's Classic Car. The Iron Mountain factory shipped whole wooden bodies to Ford's assembly plants around North America. The price was $755, according to the Standard Catalog of American Cars. Riding on a 112-inch wheelbase with 323 8-passenger seating, the 1937 Ford V8 station wagon offered choice of a 60 horsepower or an 85 horsepower, 221 cubic inch 3.6-liter V8, and its dealer brochure, separate from the brand's full lineup booklet, nicely describes the market these cars sought. For transporting a weekend party to the yacht, to the stables, the lodge, or to the cottage by the seashore, it is ideal since it enables the party together, taking supplies with them in comfort. A curious mix of Art Deco and Martha's Vineyard cabin styling, the town and country became a staple over the next 3 decades of upper-middle-class suburbs. It was the sort of wagon you might buy if even a well-equipped Ford V8 could no longer meet your needs and desires. Chrysler touted the 42 Town and Country as the only station wagon with an all-steel automotive-type top. It was just a hair longer than 217 inches and about 75 inches wide on a 121.5-inch wheelbase. The Town and Country could seat up to 9 passengers with its auxiliary center jump seat. Height, presumably without the optional luggage rack, was 68 inches, just 1.3 inches short of a modern Jeep Grand Cherokees. The roofline predicted the coupe-style SUVs that would come along in another 75 years. The engine was a 120 horsepower, 250.6 cubic inch inline-six, coupled to a fluid-drive semi-automatic transmission. The standard catalog does not have a price for this wagon, though the 42 Town and Country sedan cost $1,520. Ionia Manufacturing in the eponymous town in Michigan built wagon bodies mostly for the various General Motors divisions, but also for Ford, Mercury, and Chrysler before and after World War II. Buick's 1949 models, Roadmaster, Super, and Special, were all new for the first time since the war, and Ionia built wagon bodies for the top 2 models. The top-spec Roadmaster wagon was 214.5 inches long on a 126-inch wheelbase, and the Super was 209.5 inches long on a 121-inch wheelbase. The Buick Roadmaster estate wagon came with a 150 horsepower, 320 cubic inch 5.2-liter straight 8 and standard Dynaflow 2-speed automatic transmission. The Super Estate wagon had a 248 cubic inch inline 8, rated for 115 horsepower with the standard 3-speed manual and 120 horsepower with the optional Dynaflow. These Buicks were 2-row 6-passenger vehicles, and like the 42 Chrysler, they featured a clamshell-style tailgate. The rear bench seat folded down like many of today's SUV seats, with the cushion folding forward into the rear footwell and the seat back folding flat. The brochure suggests, sleep where you stop, carry along an air mattress, and when you want to stop, presto, sleeping quarters. Base price was $3,176 for the Super and $3,734 for the Roadmaster, according to the Standard Catalog of American Cars, our pricing source throughout this story. The 1955 to 1957 Safari was Pontiac's version of the Chevrolet Nomad, which also ran for those 3 years as a sporty 2-door, 2-row station wagon priced at the top of the model lineup. Both cars were inspired by the 1954 Chevy Corvette Nomad Motorama car, a 2-seat, 2-door wagon, and perhaps even more than the 42 Chrysler Town and Country. These truly were precursors to such modern models as the BMW X6 and Mercedes-Benz GLC and GLE coupes. This is distinct from American two-door sedan-style wagons marketed as handyman utility cars in the 50s, popular long before everybody drove pickup trucks. The two-door Safari was 202.9 inches long, 75.4 inches wide, with a modern crossover vehicle-like height of 61 inches, and it came with a 180-horsepower two-barrel. List price was $3,124, the only '55 Pontiac base price exceeding $3,000. After 1957, the Safari nameplate was attached to the Bonneville, Executive, Catalina, and Le Mans wagons through the 60s and 70s. George Romney, chief of the newly formed American Motors Corp., future Michigan governor and failed candidate for the 1968 GOP presidential nomination, shuttered Hudson not long after it merged with Nash Kelvinator in 1954. The surviving Rambler marque continued to offer smaller, reasonably sized cars. The cross-country was 193.6 inches on a 108-inch wheelbase and was 71.3 inches wide and 58.6 inches tall. Its 195.6 cubic inch 6 made 120 horsepower and 170 pound-feet. It was a two-row, six-passenger wagon with airliner, fully reclining front seats and a one-piece tailgate. But what made this Rambler so freaking cool was its body style, a four-door, pillarless, hardtop station wagon, the first in the U.S. industry. GM had just introduced its first four-door hardtops a year earlier with the 1955 Olds 88 and Buick Century. In case that's not enough, check out the wood grain applique on the green cross-country, which looks like it could be pulled off the sides of the car and flipped over to make a fabulous mid-century modern coffee table. Base price, $2,326. See a pattern here? To me, four-door hardtops are even more evocative of mid-century American automobilia than station wagons. And when you combine the two, I just can't resist. Ionia Manufacturing built the Olds and Buick hardtop wagons for just 2 model years, ending with 1958. But the over-the-top late Harley Earl-era styling really makes them stand out. The Buick was available with 2 or 3 rows for 6 or 9 passengers and offered divided second-row seats, while the Olds was available as a 2-row, 6-passenger car only. The tailgate was a 2-piece clamshell design. Ford's Mercury division also made 4-door hardtop deluxe wagons, the Country Cruiser series, for the 1957 to 1960 model years. The old Super 88 Fiesta came with a 277 horsepower, 400 pound-feet, 371 cubic inch, 6.1-liter V8, coupled to either a 3-on-the-tree or Jetaway Hydra-matic 2-speed automatic. The Buick Century Caballero Riviera had a 300 horsepower, 400 pound-feet, 364 cubic inch 6.0-liter V8 and standard Dynaflow automatic. Oldsmobile 1957 base price was $3,017 to $3,220, while Buick 1957 base price was $3,167 to $3,831. Chrysler didn't even offer a B-post station wagon alternative to the New Yorker Town & Country and Windsor Town & Country when they premiered in the 1960 model year. New Yorker Town & Country were America's most prestigious production station wagons from the 1950s to the early 80s. The 60 New Yorker Town & Country was powered by a 350 horsepower, 413 cubic inch 6.8-liter V8 and was 219.6 inches long on a 126-inch wheelbase. The entry-level Chrysler Windsor Town & Country, powered by a 305 horsepower, 383 cubic inch V8, was 215.4 inches long on a 122-inch wheelbase. Both cars came with a push-button torque flight automatic, standard, and offered optional rear-facing third-row seats. Chrysler's 1964 wagons were the last available as 4-door hardtops. Within a few years, all pillarless hardtops, whether two-door, four-door, or wagon, came under intensifying scrutiny in light of the Ralph Nader-sparked safety movement. Wagons in particular are susceptible to rollover crush because of long roof tops without adequate vertical pillars, which is why modern three-row wagons are hard to find. The passenger areas need stiff, relatively thick roof structures that eat up third-row space, so the taller bodies found on SUVs are more accommodating of three-row seating. Base price was $3,691, $5,212 for the New Yorker Town and Country. Famed industrial designer Brooks Stevens designed a sliding roof panel as a kind of mid-cycle update for the new for $1,960 Studebaker Lark wagon. It opened the top from just behind the thin C-pillar to the back. The idea was you could haul home tall items, say a new Sears Kenmore refrigerator, placed upright on the cargo floor. We expect at least a few of these were hooned back in the day, with second or third owners surfing in back. More than 4 decades after the Wagonaire's introduction, GMC copied the idea for the Envoy XUV SUV. The Wagonaires were available in regal or upmarket Daytona trim levels, offered with a 112 horsepower, 169.6 cubic inch inline 6, a 180 horsepower 259 cubic inch V8, or a supercharged 289 rated for 289 horsepower. According to Motor Trend, Studebaker built just 15 such 63 Lark Wagonaires with this latter R2 engine package. It also offered them with a 4-speed manual, as well as 3-speed manual or automatic. It was 190.3 inches long and 57 inches tall, on a 113-inch wheelbase, and available only as a 2-row 6-passenger car. The one-piece tailgate was obviously hinged at the bottom. Studebaker moved production from South Bend, Indiana, to Hamilton, Ontario, Canada after the 1963 model year, and ceased business after the 66 model year. The base price ranges from $2,550 to $2,700. If you can't have a pillarless hardtop, why not a Vista Roof Olds or Sky Roof Buick? The 64 model year was the last in which Ionia Manufacturing built Olds and Buick full-size wagons. These two in-house assembled cars essentially replaced them. While the Vista Cruiser and Sport Wagon shared their bodywork forward of C-pillars with the F-85 Cutlass and Special Skylark, respectively, both were longer, on bigger body-on-frame platforms than the F-85 and Special wagons. The 64 Olds Vista Cruiser was 208 inches long on a 120-inch wheelbase versus 203 inches on a 115-inch wheelbase for the F-85 wagon, and the Sport Wagon and Special wagons had similar dimensions. With their Vista sky roofs, the Olds was 58.3 inches tall and the Buick 57.5 inches tall. Engines were a 230 horsepower or 290 horsepower, 330 cubic inch V8 for the Vista Cruiser, and a 210 horsepower or 250 horsepower, 300 cubic inch Wildcat V8 for the Sport Wagon. Both were offered in 2- and 3-row variations. Obviously inspired by the Volkswagen 19-window microbus, which went to 21 windows for 64. The Vista Cruiser's Vista roof survived 4 iterations through the 72 model year. The 73 Vista Cruiser had only a small sunroof and was on GM's new Colonnade A bodies. Buick used the sky roof from the 1965 to 1969 model years, though the Sport Wagon name lasted through 1972. Oldsmobile 1964 base price was $2,938 to $3,122, while Buick 1965 base price was $2,925 to $3,214. Ford called itself the Wagon Master in those days, and I'm singling out the 66 model because it was the first with the magic door gate. The one-piece tailgate with power window was hinged so that it could open like a conventional tailgate or like a door with an upper and lower hinge on the driver's side. The third-row option was unique to Fords and Mercurys in this era, with dual-facing rear seats. If you could fit 2 kids on each side, voila, you had a 10-passenger wagon. But the full-size Ford wagons were all new for 1965, when both Ford and GM full-size models were fully redesigned, taking a big design leap over the 1964. The vinyl wood-grain-paneled Ford Country Squire with its LTD interior and exterior trim became the poster car in America. The 66 Ford Country Squire was 210.9 inches on a 119-inch wheelbase and was 79 inches wide and a lowish 56.7 inches tall. Heyday for the Ford Country Squire lasted until the mid-70s. Base price range 1966 was $3,289 to $3,372. Well, there you have it, 10 of the best historical American station wagons. What wagons do you think should be in this list instead? Comment down below and let's discuss. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button to keep you updated on our future uploads. Until then, I'll catch you on the next one.